Welcome back to another episode of Choose Courage Inc. My name is Vivianne Castillo, and this episode is really special. It's energizing, it's inspiring, and honestly, it's a masterclass in both courage and creativity from someone who's been leading and managing both since before many of us were even entrepreneurs. And so I'm talking about Ava Dorsey. She is the founder and CEO, or as she brilliantly calls it, Chief Elevation Officer of Ava's Pet Palace. And you're going to hear her full story in just a moment, but I want to set the stage appropriately for you because what this young woman has built is incredible. She started her business at 8 years old. Yes, 8 years old, with one simple belief that pets deserve better treats. And that was really the spark for her. That was the beginning. And with the support of her family and her parents, she was able to turn that spark into a fast-growing, family-led brand that pet parents across the country can trust. And today you can find Ava's Pet Palace treats on shelves at Erewhon Market, Myers, and independent pet stores nationwide. She's even had her products at Target. And now at 18 years old, she's leading a mission that's bigger than treats to create better products for pets and the planet, and to inspire other young folks to lead with courage, purpose, and heart. What I love the most about Ava is that her creativity isn't performative, it's grounded, it's rooted in values, and it's fueled by just a genuine care for animals, people, and the planet. And she's doing all of this while navigating college, life, and the wildness of just being a young entrepreneur in an industry that's finally waking up to what true innovation looks like. And so in this episode, you'll hear us talk about the moment she realized her childhood dream had become something real, how her values keep her grounded as the brand scales, what courage looks like when you're nervous but say yes anyways, and the beautiful partnership between Ava's Pet Palace and my company Moonpaws, including the story behind our Cosmic Choose collaboration, which is a pet astrology-inspired dog treat. And so this episode is full of wisdom, generosity, and really just the kind of truth that reminds us to bet on ourselves, even when the timing doesn't feel perfect. I hope you enjoy this conversation with the incredible, brilliant, deeply inspiring Ava. And with that, let's jump in. Ava, I'm just really excited to be chatting with you today. And I kind of want to just start in the middle of your story, not at the beginning. I'm wondering if you can take us to a moment when maybe you realize that this little dream that you started at 8 years old was actually becoming something real.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here as well, so thank you. So I would say there have been a lot of moments over the years where I felt like that, but one specifically that really sticks out to me is back in 2020. It was during the summer of 2020. I remember it very vividly. And we had gone from making 3 orders, maybe 3, 4 a month, doing local craft shows, passing them out like around our neighborhood and stuff, just doing things like that. And we went from that to getting over 2,000 orders within one day. And I feel like that
Wow.
moment was a very big, like, milestone. It really showed me, like, wow, this Ava's Pet Palace is something. Ava's Pet Palace is more than what I initially, not what I, more than what I thought it was, because I've always wanted to like have a business ever since I was young, but it was becoming more than just a hobby, more than just like me spending time with dogs. So that was a very big moment, figuring out how we were going to fulfill all of those orders. Just the whole time period of the summer of 2020 is one that it's stuck in my memory, and I feel like that really helped us shape like a lot of what we're doing now. And just that's when we began to grow our community as well. So our community
Mhm.
now on Instagram, a lot of the people who we had become very close with, we found them back then. So it's just been really a cool experience being able to go from making a few orders a month in our kitchen just for my own pets, maybe a few around the neighborhood, to shipping them all over the US.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I think too, it's funny. I think a lot of us, when we have a business idea and we try to bring it to life, we don't realize that abundance is possible. And then when we experience it, we're like, oh, okay, this actually could be a thing.
Yes, it was crazy because I feel like I know me for sure. I had thought about that moment so much, like when, "Oh, what if we just get a bunch of orders?" Just that kind of mindset, and when it finally happened, it was a crazy feeling, so it was kinda hard to believe in the moment because we'd spent so much time, so many years just doing Ava's Pet Palace, me doing Ava's Pet Palace for fun, me making animal videos, just being myself and seeing that it had become something was just a very cool feeling, very, very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people that listen to this podcast are, adults. They're either leaving corporate or they're in corporate. I guess I'm just curious, how did your younger self handle just the realities of actually running a business at that age? I know it's different for people when they're older, but I'm curious about what was that experience like for you?
So There were there's definitely a lot. It was a lot having a business and starting a business at a young age, but before I will say it was definitely more of, a hobby. I was making treats for my own pets, doing that type of thing, but when that kind of switch came and it became more of like us making treats for our own pets to, you know, a bigger audience. My parents have been there every step of the way, supporting me in my dreams, my company. My mom, she works full time for my business since 2020. So that summer, when everything happened, she began working full time. And I really feel like my parents have been my biggest supporters, and throughout high school, even middle school, I had my business within middle school as well. They have always been there helping me balance everything. I've also had to learn a lot on my own, that's something that you have to do by yourself as well. But I really feel like my parents have just shown me like how to be a business owner. They're both very entrepreneurial themselves. And I feel like I've learned a lot from them being so young, watching them with their own businesses, and then my mom coming in and helping me with mine. So I feel like I learned a lot from them, but also just experience. I feel like it's hard for me to just to kind of say everything because over the
Sure.
years there's so much that I've learned and in a way I still feel like the same kid running Abel's Pet Palace, just at a different scale now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things I've taken away from this answer. One is it sounds like you have been able to have the support system and the environment to just dream and be creative.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people need to hear that because people try to lean into and build a business, but they don't even give themselves space to dream, to be creative, to try new things, and they
Yep.
haven't recalibrated their circles to make sure that they actually have that support.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
And you are like and I need to shoot your mom a text and let her know this, but I mean, you gosh, to be able to have parents who saw this vision and this idea that you had when you were so young and then being willing to nurture it, to believe you and see you in it is such a gift and important reminder of, yeah, just how important it is to show up for our loved ones. So I
Yes.
want to just acknowledge like your experience. There are definitely people who are probably listening to this and being like, man, I wish I had that support system. I wish my parents saw me and believed in me. And I love that you've been able to have that.
I am very grateful. I'm extremely thankful for my parents and everything they've put into my business and just helped me with. My mom said always says that her parents are amazing. Like my grandparents. I love my grandparents. We're all very close. But she has said before that when she was younger, that she kind of wishes that someone would have done that for her. She's
Mhm.
always had that entrepreneurial mind and spirit, and kind of wish someone would have pushed her in that way. But it wasn't as big back then. It was kind of like a path you followed, I guess, which was
Mhm.
school, and which is okay. But like there wasn't like room to, like, dream of things like that. So she
Yeah.
always says that she wants to do that for her children and wants to make sure she believes in our ideas and supports us within that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, the older generations weren't exposed to other ways of work and life, right? And part of that too, again, we have the internet, we have access to see what's possible,
Yep.
but I think you bring a really good point of allowing and creating space to just do things differently than maybe what we've
Yes.
been told how it should be done. You know,
Yes.
I imagine that even just your understanding of success has evolved over the years, from when you're 8 to now you're in college. And I'm wondering maybe what did success mean to you maybe back then when you were starting this business as a kid, and how do you feel like it's changed now that you're grown?
This is a great question. Success when I was a kid and when I was younger and first getting started, I don't even think that I was able to really look that far into the future and like really think of what I wanted Ava's Pep House to be when I was 8, 9, 10. I wanted to spend time with animals. That was my whole thing. I remember being around that age and just like waiting for when I turned 16 so I could go and volunteer at animal shelters by myself. That was what I was really thinking about. It was all about the animals. I mean, it still is. It definitely still is. But as I've continued to grow, I feel like my definition of success now is not just success within my business, money wise, not just that, because that can really, that plays a very big part in, business. That's how businesses stay running. But
Hmm.
it's also just me as an individual, like continuing to learn more about myself while having a business. I feel like success, it's such a broad, such a, how do you say, a broad, maybe like area? Great, like, just a big there's so many ways to describe success is what I'm trying to say. But
Hmm.
for me, it is continuing to reach pets, people all over, and staying true to our values. That is a really big one. As we continue to grow, staying true to those values, pets, people, and our planet, making sure we stay true to who we are as a business, who I am myself. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm tracking. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I mean, it makes me think a little bit about even just my kind of evolution of how I've understood success in business and where I am with it now. And I think for me, like in the beginning, success meant like safety. Like it meant
Yeah.
stability. It meant this feeling of like control, the kind of life that looks like, okay, I'm making it through my checklist. And I think success looked like having the answers. It looked like being busy. There could be a lot of movement, a lot of things going on. But I feel, now being 8 years or so into entrepreneurship, it's like success feels softer. I think for me, it's been less about being seen and more about being and feeling centered. It's about creating more alignment. It's about, is this serving my nervous system, or am I like running myself into the ground
Yes.
for what? For what? And so, yeah, I think, the old version of success, and I imagine a lot of people who are listening to this often equate a version of success with asking us to prove ourselves as being enough, as being interesting enough, impactful enough. But I think the new version of success, and a lot of people are starting to slip into this, is one that asks us to trust ourselves and to just imagine like a different understanding of what wealth could be.
Yes. I agree with all of that. That was very well said. And definitely with the something that really stuck out to me was what you said about the nervous system. That is a really big one. Like just yeah, I definitely agree. Another one I had was success to me now is also kind of putting like getting out of my comfort zone. I'll say that. So
Mm,
just doing different things that I maybe wouldn't have before, or not wouldn't have, but how do I say this? Doing things that I know are maybe out of my comfort zone and make me nervous, but knowing that it's gonna help me continue to build myself as a person and just my business as well.
yeah. Can you maybe give an example of what's coming to mind as you speak about that?
Yes. So I think about all of the times where I have had an appearance maybe on like in front of people. So usually it's in front of an audience, different pitch competitions I've done. Actually just yesterday, 2 days ago now, sorry, I was part of a panel for a organization in the city for Chicago Public Schools, and that was something that made me very nervous. It made me very nervous having to or doing that, but
Mhm.
afterward, it's such a rewarding feeling, and knowing that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I was able to speak to other young girls and share my own story, things like that. It's just a really rewarding feeling, and I feel like, yeah, that it's just before I do things like that, I always feel such a nervousness, but after it's like a you did that and you're okay, and you can continue to do things like that and push yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're like, "I didn't die. I did that." Yeah, and I think too, and I say this a lot in terms of there are people who don't even realize that they're waiting for us to show up.
Yes.
And by doing that, you can inspire other people, you can encourage other people, and also just help, facilitate new ideas and opportunities into the world. So I love like how you're thinking about being able to even just show up in, pitch competitions in these other settings and other people are seeing you and they're seeing, oh, like this is possible. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do something like this as well.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah, and I love hearing your perspective on business too, especially as someone who started a business so young and even just now, I mean, you're still young. I'm wondering, can you maybe share maybe like one of the biggest lessons you learned about business before you turned 18?
Yes. So many. So I would say one of the biggest ones is that networking and making connections to people is it's really everything in the business world, but also just in the real world as well. I've learned how important networking, making those connections, doing things where you're meeting other people, whether they're in the same business as you, it's just very important. I feel like this is something that had to when I learned it, was really big when I didn't realize how important networking was until we went to our first big industry show. So we went to our first big show back in 2022, and before this, we were still doing everything in the house, making all the treats in the house, just really we were at that point where we knew we needed to grow and we wanted to grow, had all these ideas, but just didn't know what to do next. And this was our first big show over I don't even know how many people, a lot of people. It's one of the biggest pet shows.
Hmm.
And that was where I learned how important it is to meet people. And since then, I feel like there's people we met at that first show that we still talk to now, who we
Mm.
still connect with, who we're able to go to for advice and just have in our circle, which is really cool. We're very big on lifting each other up, and it's like, what's the word? Or what's the saying? Collaboration over competition. And
Mm.
that's a really big one for us. And I feel like it connects to that networking piece. And another one I will say is to not compare yourself to others. That's a really big lesson I've learned, not just in business and personal life as well, but specifically within business. It's so easy to look at what other people are doing and think that you need to be doing that same thing in order to succeed, whatever succeeding means to you. It's also really easy to fall into the mindset of they reached this point here, they reached this number after this many years, after doing this, and then following that for yourself. But you can't do that because everyone's journey is different. You're on
Yeah.
your own journey, they're on their journey. And if you do that, you're gonna lose sight of what you're doing and what you're building and focus on what others are doing, which is not the right path.
Yo, you're dropping so many gems here. I love a bit about collaboration over competition. And a lot of that is just being able to step out of fear scarcity mode and stepping into
Yes.
abundance. Understanding that like what is meant for you is for you, and there's plenty of
Yep.
that out there for you. So I
Yes.
love that. I love how you're thinking about there's this Japanese proverb and it says and talks about how comparison is a thief of joy. And
One of my favorites.
yeah, a classic, it's a classic.
Yes.
And it's a reminder that, like, the best things that we create can come from a place of joy, and we can't step
Yep.
into that if we're in comparison.
Yes.
Yeah. Yo, that's a bar, that's a bar. Yeah, and again, like, it's making me think about the role of creativity and innovation in entrepreneurship, and I think you've been spared from this so far. But when you're in corporate, you're told, yeah, be innovative, be creative, but still help you God if you F that up. And so a lot of people understand creativity within the context of fear and failure. But that really stifles innovation and it stifles what's possible. So as entrepreneurs, it's so important for us to cultivate that relationship with and connection to creativity. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, as a young CEO, like how do you stay connected to your creativity, especially within the world of business?
Yes. So one of the biggest ways that stay connected to my creativity is by reading. I am a very big reading reader, and I found that being able to have those moments for just me, being able to have those things that I do for me is very important for me and then my creativity as well. Just being able to learn about things that I don't know anything about is one of my favorite things to do. When I get really interested in something, I go on very deep dives. I go into rabbit holes, and I feel like I
Same.
every time I come out from a rabbit hole, I have learned so much and I feel just very creative. I feel very motivated a lot of the times. I Whenever I read, I feel like it's like a whole new, how do I say? It's like a whole new world. In books, I read a lot of like nonfiction, fiction books, all kinds of books, but
Yeah.
specifically the fiction books. I feel like it's really cool to just be able to be kind of like pulled outside of reality for a bit and have this whole new like world you're jumping into when you read, for me at least, and then coming back out of it. Another thing that I do is, and this one might seem a little bit, I don't know, odd, but I like watching movies for creativity. So I'm a very big movie watcher. I like watching all kinds of movies. And I feel like every time that I watch a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a while and one that I know is like a very, I guess, deep thinking movie, I always feel motivated for some reason and just very inspired and creative as well. So that's two of my favorite things to do, reading and then watching movies. I actually have an app for both of those things on my phone that allows me to put them on my list and then check them off, do a review when I finish. So that's another one as well. Journaling. That reminded me. I could be a better journaler, I will say that, but I do journal every now and then. I love just writing my thoughts down, getting everything out. And I feel like it's very useful just to clear my head as well. I like
Hmm.
doing what they call brain dumps and just, like, getting everything out. There's a lot that we think about, like, all the time, and just being able to get it out on paper is it's important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think through line I'm hearing too is just awareness of yourself and what you need
Yeah.
to process to breathe, to be inspired. Yeah, I love everything you're saying. I feel like I had to learn the hard way that creativity doesn't survive in environments where I'm only valued for output. So I'm speaking from a context of both growing up, but also just like being in
Yeah.
corporate. And so
Mhm.
I know, like for me, I've had to protect my creativity in the same way some people protect the sustainability of their business, right? Like for me, I can't have a sustainable business if I'm not protecting that creativity.
Yes.
And I think as founders, as CEOs, like we have to create those conditions where inspiration can then find us. For me, that means kind of giving myself space to think without performing, to wander without a deadline, to dream and, immediately and give space for that to breathe and
Yep.
see itself. So similar to you, like love to read,
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I will say though, I'm probably more in the nonfiction genre. I feel
Okay.
like before college, it was fiction.
Yeah.
And then after college, it moves to nonfiction.
Yes.
So I love like psychology kind of things. So
Yes.
I remember I went down this deep rabbit hole on video game psychology. And it just kind of just changed my mind and perspective on a lot of different ways to handle business. I kind of see how the gaming industry manipulates a lot of people. How do we not do that? Right. Moving the body, going on walks. I could
Mhm.
be better at journaling too. I tend to These days, I'll go on a walk and I'll pretend to be on a phone call so people don't think I'm like, I don't know, mumbling to myself as I'm like
Yeah.
walking and I'm just kinda like processing out loud.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kinda like we have to have a more proactive and disciplined relationship with creativity if we're gonna
Yeah.
have, sustainable and successful businesses.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Something else I like to do is meditation, meditating, yoga. Those are two other ones. Actually, this morning I was doing a breathwork meditation, but I feel like those are really good for me to just reset. I don't know, and that can I feel like when you have just a lot of different thoughts, things that you're working on, and just a lot in your head, it's hard to be creative and find that creativity and just do what you wanna do, so taking that time to really decompress has been helpful for me.
Yeah. 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 It's something we have to both cultivate and protect. And again, I love hearing you speak about it because a lot of folks who are listening are learning to reconnect with that part of themselves. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn from our younger selves and just younger folks like you to help us take that relationship more seriously and with more curiosity. So yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Go on.
So I was gonna say I saw this post and it said the most important relationship you have is with yourself, and I don't know, I thought that was a very kinda connects to what we're talking about with just taking care of yourself in those different ways, but that last thing you said kinda reminded me of that. Just, you have to take care of yourself before you do the other things that you wanna do.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And like actually do it. I think sometimes we hear things like that. We're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's no,
Yeah.
really though. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Hey, this is Vivianne, and I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And I just wanted to pause for a quick moment to say that this podcast is ad free on purpose. And we want to keep it that way so that it feels like a space that's just for us and just a little bit more divorced from noise on what we should buy and what we should consume. And so the best way to help us do that is by sharing it with someone you think would really connect with it, someone who you think would feel encouraged or get something out of this episode, or by leaving an honest review because it helps more folks find us. And honestly, it could be the exact thing someone else needed to hear today, just because you took a moment to spread the word. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and let's get back to it. And I think too, sometimes not taking care of ourselves though, while it may while it may be a moment of discomfort, for a
Mm,
lot of people it may feel like comfort because it's so familiar. And
yep.
so this is why it's so important. And I talk about this a lot within Choose Courage Inc. of what does it look like for you to choose courage over comfort? And entrepreneurship demands that of us and then some all the time. And
Yeah.
it just makes me curious, what does courage or what has courage looked like for you? Especially with you leading in such like a purposeful, values-driven way.
Courage for me. I'm gonna go back to kind of what I was saying earlier about the different like speaking things that I've done. I'm a very anxious person. I get very nervous. I have anxiety. It can be a lot for me to do things like that, and I feel like for me, that's choosing courage over comfort. I
Mm,
have to choose to do those things. It'd be very easy for me to say, "No, I don't wanna do that this time." But I know if I do that, I'm gonna continue to do that, and it's just gonna be a cycle. So, choosing to put myself, outside of my comfort zone, do something that you know, I spend weeks before it happens thinking about is something that I just have done. And I feel like as I've continued to do things like that, it has gotten a little bit easier. I feel like I don't get as nervous anymore. Still, nerves are there speaking in front of people. I feel like that's for a lot of people.
mhm.
But it's just different. I am more comfortable. with myself and speaking and know that I actually have value to offer to a conversation. So I feel like that's been a really big one as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you mind sharing a story maybe of maybe you had a moment where you needed to take a big and bold leap and maybe didn't go as planned? Like what happened and how'd you sort yourself through that?
I know I have. I know there are so many. So I've been on stage before when I forgot what I was saying completely. My mind just kind of like blinked at that moment. I don't know what I was talking about anymore. I just you wouldn't be able to get anything out of me of what I was saying. So I've had that happen, and I had to take a second. Actually, I took a second up there. I did take a big deep breath, and I had to get it together one way or another, but that was a time when I did a lot of preparing. Like, I really prepared for this moment. I spent weeks before memorizing what my speech was, but in that moment, I couldn't remember what I was gonna say. And I feel like that was a time where I had to push through, even though I would have rather obviously got off the stage and probably not done any type of other like things in front of people again.
Mhm.
So I feel like that was a moment, and that was a few years ago. That wasn't it's kind of recent, but that was one. And I also feel like that moment could have affected how I went about other speaking engagements if I really let it and like really I wouldn't have done anything else because I would have been thinking about that moment, too nervous, thinking that would happen again. But I if you do that within things like that, I feel like for me at least, I just wouldn't have pushed myself outside my comfort zone again. So I
Mm.
really make sure I didn't do that and, still, even though that was a moment that didn't go as plans, even though I prepped so much for it, I had to make sure that I didn't let that stop me from trying again and continuing in the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had a similar moment before where I was speaking at this conference. I was in where was I? I was in Portugal speaking at this
Yeah.
conference. And a lot of times when you're speaking at conferences, you can usually there's like a screen that maybe has your speaker
Mhm.
notes, or you can at least kind of get these cues, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm giving this talk, and for some reason, the projector and the power just went out.
Yeah.
Nothing, like nothing on the computer, nothing on the screen. And I'm just kind of like sitting there. And you just have to learn to you just have to learn to improvise and to
Yes.
kind of trust your gut in those moments, right?
Right.
And, believe that, okay, I can kind of work my way through this. I mean, 0 out of 5
Yeah.
stars. Like I wouldn't recommend that experience to anyone. And what I ended up doing was just telling the tech people to like, "Can you like turn up the light so I can see people?"
Yeah.
And I just kind of riffed and even just paused and opened it up to some live Q&A and was just having some
Yep.
real-time conversation. But at the end of the day, it's about kind of going back to what was the point of this all to begin with, and it was to connect with people.
Yep.
And it's about how do we riff on that and find new ways in that moment to do it. Obviously, not the ideal situation, but we know that there's purpose and meaning behind why we were originally there. And so
Yes.
it's okay if it's not like picture perfect. For
Mhm.
me, it's as long as I'm able to impact or connect with one person, then that'll be enough, right? And you just kind of do your best and grit your way through it.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I feel like it's really easy to kind of let those moments as well define other things that you may do that's similar, if that makes sense. Like, it's easy to let that
Yeah.
moment kind of like trickle into other ones, and you may be thinking about it a lot because it happens the time before that. But that's a really good way to just get stuck in a cycle of just overthinking and not doing things outside of your comfort zone anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how you let fear take over. It's kind of like, if you've ever been in a car accident or anything like that, it's really important to start driving again, like as soon as you
Mhm.
can. Because there's
Yep.
usually this like fear of, I don't want to drive or be in a car ever again in my whole life. But we have to kind of like put ourselves back out there because that's not the only data point, right? So I love
Yeah.
what you're saying on, yeah, we can't let some of these hiccups, these moments where things didn't go as planned, then kind of pave the way for everything else that follows. So
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. And again, like a lot of this goes to, especially as you're growing your business, there's more
Mhm.
momentum. It's really important for us to not lose sight of our vision.
Oh,
Creativity
yes.
supports that, but there's other things too in terms of like our values and the community that supports us. And I guess I'd love for you to maybe speak on how do you keep your vision grounded for Ava's Pet Palace in your values, especially as things continue to grow and scale?
Yes. So I am very big on our values. We've had different conversations in the past with things I just won't budge on. And I one of my favorite sayings, well, my mom actually, she says this one a lot, is if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And I think it's just such a powerful saying because it is very true. And for me, I wish I had more to say about this, but I am just a very once my mind is made up on something, I am very hard to like my mind doesn't budge with it, I guess, especially with things with the values for my business, for Ava's Pet Palace. There are just things that we have that I've had as our values since I first started, and those are things that just won't change, and I'm gonna make sure that they stay the same. But I will say, as other outside opinions have come in and different things like that, as we've been like continue to scale, it is, I guess, a little bit harder. It's different when you're having those conversations with other people and, you might have like your values that you're standing on, but when other people start coming in, not coming in like within your business, but just other conversations and things,
Hmm.
it gets to be a little more like difficult in a way.
Hmm.
You know, it can be very tempting, especially as if you're thinking about the money aspect, certain things like that. It can be very tempting to change your values, but for us, our values a very core part of what we do. So I just have to remind myself that even if it really is like tempting in that moment, not it's not something that's going to change.
Yeah. 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 And I think too, for a lot of folks, like the bigger things get, the more tempting it might become to
Yes.
chase efficiency over integrity or
Mhm.
optics over honesty or growth over groundedness. And
I
I
love
love
those.
just the clarity that you have in your values and your
Yep.
unwillingness to budge, because I think a lot of people feel that temptation to make compromises,
Yep.
but I think for folks who are listening, especially those who are entrepreneurs or aspiring to be, my encouragement is, how do you treat your values like non-negotiables, not suggestions? Because every decision, partnerships, pricing, opportunities needs to pass through the filter of, okay, does this honor one, who I am? And
Yep.
does this honor two, what I'm building? And if the answer is no, then it's already too expensive. Like
Yeah.
expensive can be more than just money, right?
Yes.
And I think I keep my vision grounded by trying to slow down before I say yes. How do I build systems that support the kind of leader I want to be and not just the numbers I want to hit? And how do I also surround myself with people who aren't just impressed by ambition or, oh, cool, you're doing that one collab, but who are actually invested in my alignment? It has to be more of like
Yes.
a holistic approach to business
Mm.
besides just focusing on the me and the what in the 9 to 5. And so, yeah, that's kind of coming to
Yeah.
mind as you were sharing.
Yeah, I love all that. Definitely with staying grounded and taking that time to think before saying yes. I feel like that's really something, especially this last year, that I've had to learn. Just, there's going to be a lot of different, how do you say, offers, different people that want to have certain conversations, but taking that time to really like think about what you're building, what you want to build, why you started. It's very important. Going back to, why did I start It Was Pet Palace? And, really puts it back into place for me, puts it into perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of folks listening might not know this, but both of our businesses are doing a little collab and partnership together,
Yeah.
Ava's Pet Palace and Moon Paws. I would just we'll get a little bit into the story of how we started to work together, but yeah, maybe wanted to hear a little bit from you of what excited you the most about this partnership and just yeah,
Yeah.
what's the tea? What's coming to mind?
So I was very excited when we first met you guys at PetCon. I remember seeing you guys. Remember how we were set up and everything, and I remember seeing your guys' booth and everything, and I thought it was very cool. Even before, like, I knew that you were the founder and just the whole story, I just love the idea of astrology in the pet space, and I feel like that is something that really stuck out to me. There are no astrology pet brands, and I really think that's very cool, unique. I'm into all of that, astrology, all of that, so I personally thought it was very cool, and I think so do a lot of other people as well. And I was very excited that you're also a minority owned company. I feel like the pet industry can use a lot more of those.
Melanin.
Yes. Yes. And I just love the entire idea. Your guys' values as well, very similar to ours. Pets, people as well. And yeah, I was very excited when we first talked about like the possibility of collabing. I was very excited, definitely very open, excited to see where it could go. And now we have our costume we choose, which have been a hit and I think are very cool treats. Very different. We've got a lot of feedback that people love the packaging, think it's just a very unique idea as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, yeah, so we met at something called PetCon, which if y'all don't know what that is, it's basically this place and this event where all the pet influencers come together. And it was kind of weird. You're like walking, oh, I like know that dog because you've like seen them on
Yes, right.
Instagram. Oh,
A whole meet and
that.
greet.
What you gonna
Oh,
say?
I just said a whole meet and greet for all the pets.
Yeah, yeah. Like you do meet and greet for the pets, you learn a little bit from the creators. And
Yeah.
it's just this like weird, magical, like 1, 2 day experience.
Yes.
And I remember being excited running into y'all because I think for me, the pet industry is just a unique opportunity to be and bring these moments to joy to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's something your brand does really well. Like it's light, it's approachable, it's thoughtful, and it's holistic in terms of your values and how you're thinking about people and pets.
Mm.
And I remember seeing your brand, seeing your table. I remember being excited that y'all were also in the Chicago area. And I was like, let's
Yep.
go, let's do this.
Yes.
And I think for both of us, I think we just recognize the similar energy of let's just try something new. There's
Mhm.
always lessons and learnings in trying a new product and working with new people. And I think that's the fun part about business, or at least you have to learn to see it as fun because you're just constantly pivoting and being creative. And so working with y'all to create, a pet astrology based treat, I was like, yeah, let's kind of see where we can take things and how we might be able to help people. So I've had so much fun with y'all building this brand around Cosmic
Me
Chews and
too.
even how do we bring some nostalgia back into it?
Yeah.
Having these prizes that are hidden in the bag and you might
Mhm.
be able to win like an extra treat or an extra prize. And it's just been so fun to work with another business that actually values creativity because unfortunately, I think that's
Agreed.
just a rare thing, even in the pet industry, maybe even especially in the pet
Yes.
industry.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah,
agree. I feel like
yeah.
there was a lot of room for just new innovative ideas in the pet industry. I feel like it might be getting a little better now, but in the past few years, it was a lot of just the same stuff, same colored bags, just a lot of the same stuff that it's been for years. We're finally seeing a little bit of creativity and story. It's how you say, yeah, a story behind people's brands, which has been very cool. And that's something we recognize with you guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people are recognizing that the pet industry works because it's connected to people and then the pets.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we should connect more to people. And so I'm seeing more of that intentionality in the pet industry these days. Yeah.
Yes.
And, I know our teams, we've talked a lot about the connection between creativity and courage, even when
Mhm.
we were thinking about the concept of this, pet astrology inspired dog treat. I'm wondering like how do you see that playing out in your work?
Yes. You say creativity over courage?
I would say, yeah, the connection between creativity and courage. They're kind of
Mm,
interdependent
okay.
on each other in some ways.
They are. Yes. I would say so. I would say that without courage, you can't really have that creativity.
Yeah.
It takes courage to, you know, be yourself and do something different and keep your own creativity, not the creativity that others are doing, having your own creativity. And I feel like that takes courage in any space, space, anything, even just in life. So I feel like that is a really big one as well. Just having that courage to have your own creativity
Oof.
and seeing where it takes you.
Courage to have your own creativity. I love that because I think people maybe unconsciously are telling themselves, I need to have this sense of courage so I can be creative, but they're understanding creativity through the lens of someone else's creativity and not their own.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
bar. And I think even with like cosmic shoes, it like I know when we were even designing and thinking about like the branding and the
Yeah.
story behind it. I mean, did we look at other brands and other like things to inspire us? Sure. But they were data points, they weren't absolutes. And
Yep.
I think it's like, how do you loosely relate to ideas around you without necessarily absorbing it as your own? And that just gives space for things like a pet astrology dog treat where you can win prizes for
Yes.
the people as well, which I think is really cool.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
I feel like I really enjoyed our I don't know which jam session it was, if it was the first we did 2, right?
Yeah.
We did 2 of them.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was the first or second one where we did the whole poster with all the words on it, and we had a
Yeah. Yeah.
connect
The first
word.
one. The first one.
Yes, that was a cool exercise, I feel like it really got at least my creativity going.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if anything, it's a reminder of what are the rituals, exercises that we can do as entrepreneurs, even if it's like a monthly or bi-monthly thing, to just kind of spark that creativity and give space for it.
Yes.
And I think that's what made that exercise powerful. We just created space to be creative and to see what was possible.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, in terms of cosmic chews, what's something that you hope pet parents will experience with this brand and this pet treat?
Yes. So I hope pet parents can experience like a bond with their pets. So I'm going off. So I'm saying this because on the back we have our I have the bag. No, I don't have a bag down here. We have our little the area where it's the trick for you to do with your pet for with the treats, and I feel like that's a really cool thing on the bag. On the packaging itself, which is just like something for pet parents to do, something fun with the card as well. So the different cards from the deck, I feel like that's a really cool way for pet parents to just have that moment of connection with their pets, doing something new. It's fun, it's cool, and you don't know which one you're gonna get, which is also very cool. So I feel like that connection to your pet will also like the community of just Moonpaw's Ava's Pet Palace, like a little what would you call it? Like a little community of people who have our cosmic shoes. So I think that's really cool. And also what you were saying about nostalgic feeling with the cards, I feel like that's another very big part. And I hope pet parents are able to feel that nostalgia. Just feel fun with like when they buy our cosmic shoes. Just feel that fun energy between
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, for me, I look at the world and the world is burning. And so for me, it's like, how do we be this moment of joy? How
Yes.
do we be this moment of nostalgia, of just a
Yeah.
reminder that, sure, things can be hard in the world, but gosh, there's so much good.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Agreed.
that can even just be zoned in on our relationship with our pet. And
Hmm.
so I hope pet parents who experience cosmic chews get to just have a moment of joy, get to just
Yeah.
kind of tune out for a second and just enjoy the relationship with their pup. They're able to enjoy some of the nostalgia of kind of like, in the cereal boxes back in the day, there
Yeah.
was like a cool toy or something like that that they can experience that with the pet oracle cards. But yeah, really just I just want people to experience a moment of wonder, right? And just,
Yes.
kind of escape a little bit from life and everything that brings and just
Yeah.
have a moment of fun. Yeah, what's that word? Fun?
Me too.
Yeah, fun. We want people to have fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you can you remind me, I'm having a complete brain, what you call it, blank.
Freeze.
Yes, of our little on the back of our bags with I forgot there's a specific word, and I just when I made the video, I said it, but I can't remember now. It's the trick that we do with the pets.
Orbit.
Orbit, yes, the orbit. Yeah, I think that's really fun as well. Just a
Yeah.
fun little not many bags. I don't know if I've ever seen any bags, like pet treat bags with something fun like that on there, so that's
Hmm.
another
Hmm.
one as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I was in the airport a couple weeks ago and I was talking to this person about moon paws.
Mm,
And she was like, wow, I was just thinking the other day, life's been really busy and I just haven't been as intentional with my pup. And she's, I really like how you're thinking about these treats and you're trying to cultivate this moment of connection and bonding with me and my
yeah.
dog. And she's, I could be a better dog parent. I'm like, I mean, we all could, but our dogs are living their best life. This is just another opportunity to enrich it and make it better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Like anytime my dog sighs, I'm like, what are you sighing about?
Yeah. Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
for
what
real.
ails you? What weighs on you right now?
That's
um,
Lacey. She takes naps or she'll take a nap. She'll be napping all day, and then at the end of the day, she'll sigh and act like she's been working all day, which is always very funny. And she gets treats all day as well, so she's our
yeah.
taste tester. So it's just very
I know.
spoiled, but with
I was
love, of
like,
course.
just living their best life.
Yes.
I know our time is coming to an end, but I really want to just kind of like give some more
Mm,
spotlight onto Ava's Pet Pals and what you're
mm,
doing. I know that you have a We Funder campaign,
yes.
and I'm wondering maybe can you share a little bit more about one, what is a We Funder campaign, and two, what inspired you to open up Ava's Pet Palace to community investors?
Yes. So WeFunder is a crowdfunding platform, and we started our WeFunder. We knew that we were ready to grow, to take that next step, take that next big leap. And for that, you need capital. We have been doing what you call bootstrapping everything. And that's what they call it.
Hmm.
And you know, as much as we've been able to achieve and accomplish a lot, there's still so much more we want to do. And for that, we needed to start thinking about, what other routes, ways can we go about this? And WeFunder was one of our first like areas that we looked into, and we are currently we were raising for $50,000 to start, which we reached that goal. And
Amazing.
now yes, thank you. We were very excited when we reached it because it's been going for a little bit, and we've had so many people from our amazing community donate, or not, I'm sorry, not donate.
Invest.
Invest, yes, not donate. Definitely not donating. Invest into our company, which I think is really cool, especially with everything going on. Just the fact that people are still like have invested. I'm very grateful for our community. And with the other thing you asked with why we decided to do like the community based is because our community is like our community is very important to us. And I feel like a lot of our community has watched me and Ava's Pet Palace grow as a company, as a person. And we wanted to give our community and people who have enjoyed our treats, if pups have enjoyed our treats, a chance to be a part of Ava's Pet Palace and continue to grow with us. So that was a really big reason why we decided to do crowdfunding. And it has been going well so far. I'm excited for, what the future of our refunder holds, what other milestones we'll be able to accomplish with it. But as of right now, I am very grateful for everyone who has donated any amount. I'm sorry, I keep saying donated. That is not the right word. Who has invested any amount of money into our refunder. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to bring up a couple of things from this. One is that I love that you have this vision, you have the values behind the business. And for me, your invitation to invite the community to invest in it is a signal
Yes.
of your deep belief in what's possible and what you're building. And two, it's a way for you to actually honor the things that you say, which is our community is important. And
Very.
I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about building and funding their business, they kind of stop and they're like, oh, I don't have the money and capital. But it's really about, do I have a compelling vision? Do I have a compelling brand that I'm trying to build to help people support pets, support the planet? And who else can I invite into that who is in alignment with that? And so,
Yeah.
like, I love how you're thinking about that and how you are creating space for that. But then again, you're putting your money where your mouth is, right? And
Yes.
so inviting community investors, I think, is a really thoughtful and creative and innovative way to do business. And I hope folks who are listening to this are realizing and seeing that the typical capitalism bros blueprint, we don't have to go by it. There are other creative, more communal, regenerative ways to do business. So
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Yes, me too. I am very when we first I remember we made the WeFunder video. That's like our main like what shows when people go to our WeFunder page. But I still remember making it and that was maybe almost a year ago now. But yeah, it was very cool. Very let's say very I don't want to say surreal because it is real. Like I know that like the Avis Pet Palace is a real business, but at the same time, it kind of feels surreal thinking that this is the company I started when I was 8, making treats for my own pets in our kitchen. It's
Yeah.
just, it's kind of crazy to think about. We have our WeFunder now. We've had a Kickstarter in the past, which was also like a community based. Our community is very important to us. And yeah,
Yeah. And I think surreal can be the right word. There's these moments in business where I think, especially as like founders, we're just
yeah,
going and we're just constantly like moving. And so sometimes we hit these like speed bumps where we're reminded this is real. People care
yes,
about this. There's momentum behind this. And we just, sometimes we're not used to like pausing long enough to feel that.
yes,
So yeah, surreal feels like a good word because yeah, I mean, a lot of people just live in a place where their idea is just a form of escapism and they never make it
yeah,
real. But you've
yes.
actually taken an idea and made it real. And that's amazing. That should be incredible and celebrated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually just made a video. It's funny you said that with the idea part. I actually just filmed a video. I haven't posted it yet, but of me talking about how the right moment really doesn't exist. Like
That part.
it's not it's not a real thing. You make that moment and you have
Mhm.
to decide when that right moment is because it's not going to come, you know. It's going to continue to pass you by until you decide it's that moment. And I feel like it's very a lot of people it's very known, but to actually do it and to actually, decide I'm gonna do this right now, no more thinking about it, just gonna do it is it's a very empowering feeling and yeah.
I love that. There is no right moment. You make the right moment.
Yes.
Yes. That's a bar. Thank you. I know our time's coming to end. I guess I want to wrap up with this final question. I'm curious, what's one piece of advice that you give other folks who maybe they have a big idea, but they don't know where to start?
Yes. So, my biggest piece of advice is usually always just to go for it, and it sounds very simple, like it's just 3 simple words, just go for or for just go for it, but it really a lot of people need to hear that sometimes just, to go for what you wanna do, your idea, your business, and what I was saying about that right moment doesn't exist, it's not gonna exist unless you go for it. The momentum will follow, but you have to make that decision to go for it. Another
Mhm.
one is to always keep why you started in the back of your mind. Actually, just in your mind, just making sure you know why you started, what you're doing, keeping that passion there. Without passion, there is no business, there is no company. You have to have that passion because times are going to get, there's going to be rough times, there's going to be bumps in the road, but knowing why you started, what you started will, no, continue to push you forward and, you know, continue to put you on that path to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Yo, thank you so much, Ava. This was such a treat to
Thank
talk to
you.
you and just to learn from you. Thank you for just being so generous with your time and energy. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was very fun. This was great.
I love it. Before you hop out of this podcast, I just want to share something with you. If you're a UX professional feeling the pull to leave corporate and build something aligned with who you actually are, I want you to know about this experience that we're doing in January called The Walkout. It's a 2-day virtual conference happening January 15th and 16th, and it's designed specifically for folks exploring their exit from corporate. So whether you're thinking about starting an agency, maybe you're thinking about stepping into entrepreneurship, or even building a trauma-informed consulting practice, we're going to get real about what it actually takes. And we wanted to make sure that it was super affordable. Tickets are $149, and 20% of revenue, we're going to be donating it. We're going to be donating it to the Greater Chicago Food Depository, as well as the National Immigrant Justice Center. I'd love for you to join. I'd love for you to learn more, and you can do so at jointhewalkout.com. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. But again, thank you for listening. And if this spoke to you, I hope you're able to share it with someone who needs to hear this episode as well. And remember, starting over isn't starting from scratch. See you next time. And of course, drink some water.